supply chain resilience, unlock new market access, and drive long-term economic growth. Please welcome to the stage Brandon Unterbrink, Brandy Christian, and Abby Osborne.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. This is the third time I've been on this stage, and I tell everybody back at the Capitol and back in the Wasatch Front that this is the best conference in the whole state of Utah. So thank you for being here, and thank you for having us today. I'm Abby Osborne. I serve as the Chief of Staff in the House of Representatives, but the hat that I'm wearing today is I'm the chair of the Utah Inland Port. It is honestly the coolest assignment because I get to work with all the rural communities. We have 11 facilities off the Wasatch Front, which means we're serving you across the state. So thank you for having us, and thank you for letting us have inland ports in your community. So we're talking about something super exciting that happened a couple months ago. 10 years ago, I was in an EDC Utah conference, and Steve Price said, we need dual service in intermodal service in the state of Utah. We need it. He said it 10 years ago. And a month ago, that happened for the state of Utah. So we've been served, as everyone knows, by Union Pacific for hundreds of years in the state of Utah and couldn't be happier with the service. But we always knew that competition is really important to the service that we provide to the competition, right? And so I'm here today with Brandy Christian. She's the CEO of Patriot Rail, and Brandon Unterbrink. Sorry, third grade teacher, I totally screwed that up. He's the vice president of BNSF, Burlington Northern. So we're here today to talk about a little bit about what happened. But we're gonna cue a video here from Governor Cox, because he was so excited about this. He said this announcement was bigger than the Olympic announcement that was just made a year ago. So let's watch this.
It is an exciting day.
We've been having this conversation about bringing partners of BNSF here for almost a decade, and this is an incredible day for us.
Utahns build. That's what we do. Not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. That's how we became the state that we are today, and that's how we'll build the future for our children and grandchildren. And when partnerships like the one between BNSF, Patriot Rail, and the Utah Inland Port Authority deliver real value for real people, that's good governance, and that's how we do things in Utah. This announcement isn't just about rail lines, it's also about Utah families. It's about Utah workers. It's about our neighborhoods, and it's certainly about our future. It means lower costs at the grocery store, more reliable delivery of critical goods, and a stronger economy rooted right here in our own backyard. Every shipping container that reaches Utah more efficiently means more opportunity for our rural producers, our urban manufacturers, and the workers who keep our state running. And the benefits go beyond the economy. Fewer trucks on our highways means cleaner air for our kids and less strain on our roads. This is the Utah way, and we're just getting started.
That is so awesome. Brandy, so you took this to the Surface Transportation Board, that video.
Actually, our Chief Policy Advisor, Don Iskoff, serves on the Surface Transportation Board, which is one of the regulatory agencies over railroads in the United States, and in his updates talked about the new service and shared Governor Cox's video. And I have to say, when you get a round of applause from the Surface Transportation Board, it's a big day. It was something to see. I think for the Surface Transportation Board, it spoke to a couple of things. Partnership and working together, the inland port, BNSF, a short line like Patriot Rail coming together to bring competition into a market. That very much is what they are about, but also some of the words that Governor Cox used. You know, we often talk about the environmental friendliness of railroads, and the message that Governor Cox shared about how this service takes, trucks off the road, less strains on the highways, better air for our children, I think really sent a message that the STB has been trying to put out for a long time.
Well, it's incredible. It was an incredible day. It's been an incredible partnership. 100 days it took to build this facility from your end, and just the partnership and everything that we did from the state. Couldn't be happier. Brandon, talk to us about how this really turned heads at the federal level, because this was kind of unprecedented that this happened.
At the end of the day, you know, we looked at this, we talked about competition. You brought that up. I mean, that's so important, but there's a lot of things we learned through the supply chain crisis, right? And ultimately, supply chain resiliency is needed and necessary to survive. And competition only makes you better, like whether it's in sports or in the supply chain. Ultimately, that resiliency is needed. And so what you see on the federal level is that need for resiliency to get our goods inland and exports out globally. And that's what this provides. And you're right, the 100 days, that is a real timeline and was remarkable what it took to actually make that happen. But our teams pulled together and did a remarkable job.
Do you want to talk about this partnership that happened? How did this kind of come about? And like you both said, 100 days, just incredible.
I'll start and then Brandy will fill in any of the gaps. But ultimately, I mean, we looked at a lot of different options, and we've never had an inland import facility on a short line. And so this was a big step just in itself to have that conversation to say, okay, what can we do together?
Say that again so everyone can hear.
Yeah, this is the first time BNSF has ever had an inland import facility on a short line.
The first place in the country.
Yeah.
We're doing it in Utah.
And so we got our teams together and just started exploring, knocking down options. Like it was one option after another. Okay, how are we going to attack this? And I've been with BNSF for 26 years, and I would tell you the whole time we've wanted to be here. We've wanted to be here.
Why?
Because the market is big, it's expansive, there's growth, there's imports, there's exports. I mean, just a fabulous place to be, ultimately. And so when you start looking at that, we started working down. They finally got to a place, and then once we found the place, what it took, I will say it took all parties. It wasn't, there's not one that can take credit here because it was so needed from a diverse group of different influencers.
Brandy, how about from your perspective?
Yeah, I'll just add, there's no way you could stand up an intermodal service in a terminal in 100 days if all of the partners were not moving in the same direction. My previous world, I came from the port industry, and so, between BNSF, the Utah Inland Port, and Patriot Rail, we had the relationships. Their customers, the ocean carriers coming out of the California ports, were saying, we need some options within Salt Lake. So once we identified different properties that Patriot Rail has here in Utah, we decided this is the site, let's make it happen. And it really was the partnership of the Utah Inland Port, BNSF, but also the city and the state really got behind this because, as you mentioned, it had been a long vision.
What does this mean to our shippers, our businesses, Brandon?
I mean, when I look at it, optionality is always good, and competition always makes you better. And I can't say that enough because we see that across every industry. Competition just makes things better and makes you sharper and gives you options, not only from a service perspective, from a price perspective, globally, different options, different carriers. That's what you get when you get this. From
the supply chain perspective, Brandy, what do you see as a short line provider and what this brings to our businesses here?
Traditionally, as Brandon mentioned, is on an intermodal service, you don't typically have a short line in the middle of that. But we do that on a regular basis with other car loads, as we're really that last mile, first mile that provides options. And we have 2 railroads here in Utah. We're in 31 railroads, 23 states. Our biggest investments are here in Utah. To the point that Brandon mentioned is because of the strength of this market and the growth of this market. But when a short line can really be focused, provide that local service and partner and leverage the network of a larger class 1, it's just making the U.S. freight network that much stronger.
What do you see as next? What's the next move for the BNSF? What's the next move for Patriot? Where do you see this going?
To me, it's about growth, right? I mean, BNSF has a foundation of growth. We continue to grow, but this is one of those areas where it's an opportunity for everybody here to grow. Whether it's imports or exports, there's room there for that, and that's what I see.
Yeah, and I'd say for Patriot Rail, as I mentioned, we have 2 railroads. We work with the Union Pacific on the Utah Central, and then the Salt Lake Garfield Western for us really is increasing capacity and fluidity. We are very much focused on a grant that actually the Utah DOTD was able to obtain, which would actually move our interchange with the Union Pacific out of downtown Salt Lake, the Poplar Grove area, where we'll interchange a little bit closer to the new intermodal yard, which really decongests downtown, but also allows more rail growth. And as we look to the future with the Utah Inland Port, with a number of developments that you have, not only in downtown Salt Lake area with the Northwest Quadrant, but the rest of the state is really continuing to make those investments to make the rail network stronger here in Utah.
You alluded to this a minute ago, Brandon, but when I asked you why Utah, but expand upon the national stage that you see us on as a small state, an intermountain state, and not a coastal state.
Yeah, I mean, BNSF's network is basically Mississippi West, right? And when you start looking at all the different population centers, it was a glaring, obvious point that we weren't here, right?
We're a donut, not supplied by you, not serviced by you.
Yeah, and so, I mean, that's where it was so critical to even our customers, are the ocean carriers. I mean, they were demanding it. And so it was one of those things where we had to collaborate and work together to figure out, okay, how do we actually solve this? And man, I would say that the 100 days, the one thing I need everybody to realize is that we did things to get there that it was a handshake. It was a handshake in faith. And that's how that happened. It wasn't like, okay, we have to have all these contracts, everything has to be signed. Like, no, it was a handshake, look in your eye and say, that's the way we're gonna do business. And that's how things get done here over time in Utah. And so that's where it was one of those neat type of stories to say, okay, yeah, that's how we're gonna do the business here as well.
That's incredible. How about for you? You did 2 lines in Utah.
Yep.
Your biggest state of the 31.
Yep. I think it's really the opening discussion with Governor Cox and the Secretary of Interior is the diversity of economy that Utah has built, so the strong intermodal presence, because you're really that crossroads of the West, as the governor mentioned, but also in developing and growing in energy and other commodities. So those are commodities that our Utah Central is moving, so it's that diversity of economy as well that is unique and very strong.
Well, we have a few more minutes, so I want to give you to anything that the audience needs to know that you have planned or that you see needed from either the state or the local communities to continue to make this relationship stronger.
To me, I'd say that as we continue to grow, we'll continue to invest. I mean, that is the ultimate piece that everybody needs to remember. We love the competition, we love being here, and as we continue to grow, we'll continue to invest and put it back in our network to serve you.
Absolutely. As I mentioned, Utah is probably our largest investment, and where we see the real opportunity and the strength of an economy, particularly when you look at intermodal, is what that's done is opened up opportunity to attract manufacturers. And you have a lot of distribution here, so you've got that import base, but manufacturing brings the export base and that trade balance that so many states and so many ports are looking for. So I see a huge opportunity for more business attraction.
And that's the whole mission of the Utah Inland Port, is to bring that logistics network to advance manufacturing. So, as you see offshoring coming, manufacturing starting to come back to the United States, we are ready. We're ready in the state of Utah. It's indicative of this relationship that this national carrier is saying, we need to be there. We need to be there. And it's a testament to all of you in this room that continue to push us, on the public sector to think bigger and go bolder. And it's a partnership. It's all about competition. We are a logistics powerhouse, and we'll continue to do that, and we'll continue to bring them off the Wasatch Front to all of you in rural Utah. So thank you, Brandon, for being here. The leadership and the board at the Utah Inland Port, thank you for letting us do good work. Thank you for the state leaders for letting us do good work. The future's bright. I want you to continue to follow us on social media because we show and highlight everything that's going on in your communities. So go follow us. But thank you for letting us be here today. And to the two of you, this is just the start of a beautiful relationship.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.